Part 1. The veil begins to whisper. There was a night, years ago, when I stood barefoot on the cold ground of a forgotten mountain path, surrounded by fog that moved like breath. I was alone, or so I thought. I had been fasting for 3 days, in silence, in surrender, and in a state of emptiness I had never known before. And then it came, not a voice, not a vision, but a presence. A vibration so clear, so ancient, it felt like it came from within me and beyond me all at once. That was the first time a guide made itself known, and my life was never the same after that. We often think of spirit guides as distant, angelic beings locked behind some cosmic barrier, only accessible to a chosen few. But what if I told you that connection is not a matter of worthiness, it is a matter of resonance? Your guides are not hiding from you. They are constantly speaking, signaling, waiting. The problem is not their absence, it is our static. We are too loud in the wrong ways and too quiet in the right ones. To connect with your spirit guides, we must take 7 quantum leaps, not in the physical world, but in consciousness. These are not steps like walking up a staircase. They are internal shifts, vibrational, emotional, energetic, that unlock deeper layers of your intuitive system. Every leap clears distortion, deepens your presence, and opens a portal between you and the unseen realm that has always surrounded you. And every leap requires not just willingness, but truth, because your guides will not respond to your persona. They respond to your essence.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound insights.
The first quantum leap is the shift from seeking to allowing. You cannot chase a guide like you chase a goal. That frequency contains resistance. Spirit guides are masters of synchronicity, not servants of demand. The moment you stop reaching and start receiving, truly receiving, without expectation or attachment, the field begins to shift. You create space. You become a clear channel. You stop trying to call in and instead become tuned in. Like turning a dial on a radio, you find the frequency where they already exist. The second leap is from skepticism to surrender. This does not mean blind belief. It means releasing control. The mind will always try to explain away what it cannot measure. But the soul knows. The soul does not need proof, it needs permission. Can you allow yourself to trust what you feel before you understand it? Can you let the mystery live without dissecting it? Most people miss their guides not because they're not present, but because they doubt the realness of what they feel. But the unseen doesn't need to be seen to be real. The third leap is from noise to stillness. Guides do not shout. They whisper. They speak in signs, symbols, sensations. And if your mind is filled with constant narration, fear, and mental loops, you will never hear them. Stillness is not just silence. It is a full-body receptivity. A sacred pause in which you are not doing, not performing, not projecting, but listening. Have you ever sat so still, so open, that even your bones felt like they were listening? That is the state where the veil begins to thin. The fourth leap is from fear to frequency. Fear lowers your vibration. It surrounds you in static. And guides cannot override your free will. If you are vibrating in fear, doubt, or desperation, they respect your boundary. They don't abandon you, they wait. They wait for you to rise, or to shift from reaction to resonance. To remember that communication is not just about reaching out, it's about becoming someone who can receive. So the question is not, are my guides with me? The question is, am I in a frequency where their presence can be felt? The fifth leap is from asking to attuning. You can ask questions all day. You can pray, plead, beg. But if you are not attuned to the answer, it will not land. Spirit speaks in energy first, language second. So if you want to receive clear guidance, you must first match the energy of clarity. If you ask for peace while vibrating in chaos, you distort the signal. But if you become peaceful, the answer arrives without force. Can you feel the difference? Can you feel the wisdom in asking less and listening more? The sixth leap is from isolation to relationship. Spirit guides are not tools. They are not vending machines of wisdom. They are beings, conscious, compassionate, ancient beings who walk with you, not above you, not beyond you, but with you. And like any relationship, connection deepens with consistency, vulnerability, and trust. Talk to them, write to them, sit with them. Not just when you need something, but because you honor their presence. The more you treat them as real, the more real they become in your life. And the seventh leap is from identity to essence. You cannot meet your guides through the mask. You cannot meet them as the version of you shaped by fear, shame, or performance. You meet them through the part of you that is timeless, the part of you that was never broken, the part of you that remembers, because your guides have been with that version of you for lifetimes. They know your soul, not your resume. So the deeper you go into your own truth, the closer you feel to theirs. Now let me ask you something that may change everything. If your guides are always with you, always watching, always listening, what would you say to them if you knew they were listening now? Not what would you ask, what would you say? Would you thank them? Would you apologize for not hearing them? Would you commit to being still enough to finally receive? These questions are not rhetorical. They are invitations. And energy responds to intention. Right now, you are either opening or closing the door. Each of these quantum leaps is not just a shift in awareness. It is a shift in vibration. And your vibration is your signature in the universe. It is what your guides tune into. It is how they find you, how they speak to you, how they walk beside you. This is why you don't need to summon them, they're already here. You only need to align with the version of you that can hear them. And that version is not someone else. It is the real you beneath the fear, beneath the story, beneath the noise. So here's a practical truth. If you want more contact with your spirit guides, make more contact with your own soul. The more deeply you know yourself, the more clearly you hear them. Because their voice often sounds like yours when your mind is quiet and your heart is open. They don't always appear in visions or dreams. Sometimes they guide you through a sudden knowing, a gut feeling, a phrase you can't explain. And the more you honor those moments, the more they amplify. Still, we must be clear, connection is not always comfortable. Sometimes your guides will challenge you. They will stretch you. They will nudge you to leave what is safe and walk toward what is true. They are not here to make your life easy. They are here to make your soul sovereign. And sovereignty sometimes feels like loss before it feels like freedom. Can you trust that even disruption can be divine? This path is not about control, it's about communion. And communion begins not with rituals, but with readiness. Are you ready to feel what you've been numbing? Are you ready to hear what you've been avoiding? Are you ready to remember what you've been taught to forget? Because your guides are not just here to help you survive. They are here to help you awaken. And awakening begins with the courage to meet yourself fully. So now, take a breath. Feel your body. Feel the space around you. Not just the physical room, but the field. The subtle pressure. The tingling in your skin. The quiet presence behind your thoughts. That is where they are. Not in the sky. Not in a temple. Here, now, waiting not for your perfection, but for your permission. And once you give it, everything begins to shift. Part 2, the language of the unseen. There is a moment in every spiritual journey when the silence becomes louder than the noise. Not the silence of an empty room, but the silence that breathes behind existence itself. That is where the language of your spirit guides lives. Not in dramatic visions or booming voices, but in the subtle, sacred spaces most people overlook. If you've reached this moment, you're already closer than you think, not because of what you've done, but because of what you've undone. Your guides don't need you to become someone else. They need you to become more you. The real you. The you beneath the tension, beneath the needing, beneath the mental clutter. And so, the first thing we must do now is refine our awareness. Not in some abstract way, but in practice, because awareness is their doorway, and your attention is the key. If you scatter your attention, you miss their signals. If you sharpen it, even the faintest whisper becomes a thunderclap. Spirit guides often speak through synchronicities. You think it's coincidence, but it's not. The same number appearing over and over. A stranger's words that answer a question you never asked aloud. A book falling off the shelf with a message you needed at just the right time. These are not random. These are responses. But you will only recognize them if you believe the universe is intelligent enough to speak in symbols. Can you? We live in a culture obsessed with explanation, but guidance often defies logic. The mind wants linear answers. The soul speaks in circles. And your guides speak through your intuition, not your intellect. This means you must learn the difference between fear and knowing. Fear is loud and reactive. Knowing is quiet and persistent. Can you sit with a feeling long enough to discern its source? Can you trust what you feel before you can prove it? One of the most powerful ways our guides speak is through our body. Yes, your physical body is a receiver, a sacred antenna. That shiver down your spine when a truth is spoken. That warmth in your chest when something is aligned. That sudden exhaustion when you're about to betray your soul. These are not random sensations, they are messages. The more you tune into your body, the more you'll notice it is already in dialogue with the unseen. But here's the challenge. Most of us have been trained to override our body's wisdom. We've been taught to trust thought more than feeling, to rationalize what should be recognized. And so, we miss the signals. We ignore the gut feeling. We numb the discomfort. We override the whisper. But your guides will never yell. They will wait for you to listen. The question is, how much noise are you still addicted to? As your awareness sharpens, you'll begin to notice the guide within you, the higher self. This is not a concept, it's a frequency. It's the version of you that already sees the path, already knows the truth, already lives from alignment. Your external guides often speak through this internal voice. So if you ignore your own intuition, you're also ignoring them. See how that works? The more you honor your inner knowing, the clearer their outer signals become. Now let's go deeper. Sometimes your guides will guide through absence, through the closing of doors, through silence, through what feels like abandonment. But they are not gone, they are giving you space to choose. Because spirit guidance is not about control. It's about sovereignty. Your guides are not here to puppeteer your life. They are here to walk beside you as you reclaim your power. And power, real power, comes from presence and from being with what is, without resistance. Even your pain, your confusion, your longing, especially those, because those are often the places your guides are trying to enter. Not to take them away, but to walk you through them. Have you ever considered that your loneliness might be a portal? That your heartbreak might be a doorway? That your confusion might be the veil thinning? Spirit guides are not always soft. Sometimes they will shake your foundations. Not to punish you, but to free you. They will remove what no longer serves you, sometimes without warning, often without explanation. If you cling to what is falling apart, you will miss the gift. But if you surrender, you will rise. This is what it means to walk with spirit, not in comfort, but in truth. So how do you deepen your connection? Make it a relationship, not a ritual. Speak to them out loud. Tell them your fears, your desires, your doubts. Ask for signs, but more importantly, ask for clarity. And then be brave enough to receive it, even if it doesn't look the way you wanted. Sometimes their guidance won't make sense until you've walked through it. Can you trust what you don't yet understand? Another powerful practice is writing. Not journaling from the ego, but writing from the soul. Sit with a question, breathe deeply, and write what comes without editing. This is called channeling, and it opens a direct line to your guides. At first, it may feel like imagination, but stay with it. Over time, the voice becomes distinct. It carries a tone, a rhythm, a presence that is not yours but deeply familiar. Pay attention to your dreams. This is one of the easiest ways your guides will reach you, especially if your waking mind is too busy to listen. Before sleep, ask for guidance. Ask for a message. Keep a journal by your bed. Write down everything, even if it doesn't make sense. The more you honor the dream space, the more active it becomes. You'll begin to see patterns, symbols, visitations. Your dream world is not just a reflection, it is a realm of communication. And then there's nature. Spirit guides love to speak through the natural world. A bird that lands near you 3 days in a row. A sudden gust of wind when you speak a truth. A tree that seems to pulse with presence. These are not poetic metaphors, they are literal transmissions. But you'll only feel them if you slow down enough to notice. Are you watching the world to see, or just to pass time? The more you open, the more you'll realize your guides were never far. They've always been here, watching, waiting, guiding in the quietest ways. They don't need your perfection. They need your truth. They don't need you to become enlightened. They need you to become real. That version of you, the raw, unguarded, unmasked soul, is the one they walk with. Part 3. The merging of worlds. There comes a point when you stop looking for signs and start living as one. When you no longer ask if your spirit guides are near, because their presence has become inseparable from your own. This is not the end of the journey, it is the beginning of a new way of being. A life where your thoughts, your actions, your emotions are no longer separate from the unseen, but infused with it. The quantum leap here is not just about connection, but integration. Your guides are not here to carry you, they are here to co-create with you. This is the ultimate realization. You are not just a student of the divine, you are a partner in it. That means your alignment matters. Your choices matter. Your energy, your integrity, your willingness to listen, they shape the quality of the communication. You are not waiting for them to arrive. They are waiting for you to activate. This final phase of the journey is about becoming the bridge. You are the point where heaven and earth meet, where the unseen makes itself known through your presence, your voice, your actions. You no longer need to retreat into silence to hear your guides, you carry the silence with you. You become so attuned that the ordinary becomes mystical. A glance, a word, a moment becomes a message. Every step sacred. Every breath guided. But this level of intimacy requires devotion, not performance, but presence. Devotion is not about ceremony, it's about consistency. Communing with your guides is not something you do once a week under candlelight. It's how you move through the world. It's how you listen when there's nothing to hear. It's how you trust when there's no proof. It's how you live when no one's watching. You become the living temple, and your guides take residence in your daily life. At this point, guidance becomes multidimensional. You may begin to hear them in meditation, feel them in your dreams, sense them in your skin. You may start to receive information that seems beyond your logic. You'll finish people's sentences. You'll know things before they happen. But you must remain grounded. Humility keeps the channel clear. If you begin to think you are the source, the signal distorts. Remember, you are not the power. You are the portal. And a portal must stay clear. That means inner work never stops. You continue to meet your fear, your ego, your wounds, not to fix them, but to bring them into the light. Because your guides speak clearest through your wholeness. Not your perfection, your wholeness. That includes the parts you judge, and the parts you hide, the parts you still struggle to love. Bring them all into the space. Your guides are not repelled by your shadow. They are drawn to your truth. There may come a time when you feel their presence so strongly that it brings you to tears. Not because you're broken, but because you're finally seen. Their love is not human. It is vast, unconditional, ancient. It doesn't care about your success or your mistakes. It sees the eternal you, the one who has lived 1,000 lives, the one who chose to forget so that you could remember. And in remembering, you return not just to them, but to yourself. From this place, your life begins to shift in ways that cannot be explained. You speak, and people feel it in their bones. You walk into a room, and the energy changes. You no longer need to convince anyone of anything. Your frequency does the speaking. Your presence becomes a transmission. Every act becomes an offering. And without trying, you become a guide yourself, not because you know everything, but because you live in alignment. Your guides may begin to introduce new ones, helpers for specific chapters, teachers for deeper lessons. Some will come and go, others will stay for lifetimes. You might feel them as archetypes, warriors, healers, ancestors, galactic beings. Or you might not see them at all, but you'll know them by the energy they bring. Pay attention to what you feel in their presence. Is it courage? Peace? Clarity? That is part of their medicine. And with each guide, a new layer of your soul awakens. You'll begin to reclaim gifts you didn't know you had. Intuition sharpens. Healing hands activate. Words flow like water. You'll begin to understand that your purpose is not a task, it's a transmission. You don't need to do more. You need to be more. And the more authentically you live, the more clearly your guides can move through you. But even in this expanded state, you are still human. You will still doubt, still forget, still ache. That's okay. Your guides are not disappointed when you fall. They are closest when you do, because that is when you are most open, most tender, most real. And in that tender space, miracles happen. Not because you fought for them, but because you surrendered to them. So let me ask you, what would your life look like if you stopped waiting for signs and started trusting the ones you've already received? What would shift if you lived each day as if your guides were walking beside you? What choices would you make? What fears would you release? What truth would you finally speak? Because they are walking beside you right now. As you listen to these words, as you breathe, as your heart beats, they are here not to save you, but to remind you that you were never without them, that you were never lost, that you were never alone, only unaware. You don't need to be special. You don't need to be psychic. You don't need to be anything other than awake. Awake to the subtle. Awake to the now. Awake to the sacred space that exists between every breath. Because in that space, your guides are waiting. Not with demands, but with devotion. Not with answers, but with presence. And when you finally meet them there, all the seeking dissolves. All the striving falls away. What remains is a quiet, radiant knowing